where we work. It's a very small area, we're a very small charity. But I started there in 2004 with my friend and colleague, and there are two things that hit you when you turn up at Kisumu. One is, it's a very beautiful part of the world, and the other is the terrible, bitter poverty of the people who live there. This is not Nairobi. I know some parts of Kenya are very developed. This is not Nairobi. This is open countryside and marshland. There's one road, a major road, that runs from Uganda right through to Nairobi. In the weather there's a deluge or there's dry. HIV is the highest it is anywhere else in Kenya. Now, over the years, we've tried to help children who live on the streets into schools. So we try and take these young children and we try to give them a place in schools. But this only works if there's actually a school to go to. So a few years ago, we started to build schools, and we've been lucky enough to build 8 schools so far. This one is at Obinga, and in case you're unsure, this is where we started, and this is what we ended up with. And this one at Wenwa, which is another primary school that we work with. We built a medical centre, and we focused mainly so far on primary education. The problem is that when they reach the end of their primary education at 13, they sit an exam. If they are good enough, they get a place offered to them in a senior school. Now, it's key that you understand that actually 60%, all the women here should be very proud of this, 60% of the children who actually get the right qualifications are girls. But by the end of the first year in senior school, only 40% of the children in the school are girls. It's sometimes even less than that, and it drops all the time. This here is Sophia. Sophia is a 16-year-old girl. She went all the way through primary school at the top of her class. She was at least 1, 2, or 3 in every year. She went on to a senior school and she got a position there. But then she faced the problem that is causing the girls to leave. Rape is a huge problem in the area. As I said, we're not talking about Nairobi here, we're talking about the middle of nowhere. She walks 8 miles a day to get to school. In Kenya, the location of the area, when night falls at 6 p.m, it falls absolutely and dramatically. There are no lights. Even if it's the middle of the day, it's a dangerous place to walk, because of the terrain that you're facing. I visited myself. I travelled some way by Matatu, which is the bus. I then got off onto a picky, which masquerades as a motor vehicle, but actually is a cycle with a bit of an engine on the back. We went for some distance, we couldn't go any further, we had to walk. And this girl faces this every day. It's hard enough for the boys, but when you're then faced with the added security issues that face the girls, this becomes a real turn-off for actually continuing your education. Sophie wants to carry on. She's desperate to carry on. She sees this as a way out of poverty for her whole family. Her whole family see it as a way out of poverty for them. But she is scared, and this is a very bad reason to not be able to continue her education. As I said, this is a very poor area, and the teachers are very committed to try and help the girls back into school. The headmaster here gives up his own home in extreme cases to let the girls stay overnight. But this is no solution. We need to provide them with a boarding school. This happens quite a lot in Kenya. Boarding schools are set up, but as I said, this is a hugely poor part of the community. So what we want to do for them is to build them a boarding school for 40 girls. This means 2 buildings, 2 rectangular buildings that will house 20 girls each. Now what we've decided to do is to get the community to provide the land, and they've already done this. If they provide the land, they'll feel it's theirs. They'll own it. It's very important to get them to make a commitment to the project that we're doing, and they've already done it. It's so crucial to them. We've also identified how we want this to work. This is a new brick technology that's used extensively in South Africa and now in Kenya. It's very cheap because it uses local materials. It doesn't require any firing, which means we don't need to chop down trees, and believe it or not, there aren't that many trees in this part of Kenya. It also means that we can use unskilled workers. These unskilled workers mean that they can bring jobs to the area. These are people who don't have jobs of their own, so we have a win-win situation. I met with these girls, And for £12,500, we can build them a dormitory. I already have 5,000, which I've been lucky enough to have committed to it. With your help tonight, I would just like to finish that first dormitory. I've met with the girls. They really need the help to make the best of their life for themselves. They want to work together with us to try and continue their education. And there's one just last, very short quote I'd like to give to you by a Ghanaian called Kegia Agray. He said in the early 1900s that to put women down in a community and not allow them to be educated meant to keep the community down. And he said, if you educate a man, you simply educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you can educate a family and make them succeed. And I think that's very true, and that's why I'd like to ask you please to help me with this project.